let's get back to this, and I want to give you my theory. And I kind of formulated it a little bit on the show that I did with Denise and Andrew on the F4W network. We're Live Pal. That's the one that we've been doing, more of a video show, but we also put the podcast up. And we actually had Sean Ross Sapp on, who he's doing great work on his own, but it was kind of fun. I'd never met him before, so it was kind of cool to have him on. But I threw this theory out. I didn't have it completely fleshed out. I feel like I have it a little bit more fleshed out now. But what that felt to me was Vince McMahon trying to minimize NXT's value to the Raw and SmackDown audience based on the idea that AEW won this, whatever this wrestling war, whatever this competition was, that AEW, I mean, because, you know, they were there. NXT in of itself on the WWE network was a brand and was entertaining, and they sold tickets for big shows, and that was it was a good show. But once they moved it to USA, the goal was literally to stop AEW and to kind of not allow them to be successful, and it kind of failed. And so I wondered if this was Vince McMahon's way of saying, like, you know, shame on you, NXT, you didn't do your job. But then I talked to somebody else, and they thought it was more of Vince trying to minimize NXT, almost as if to say, well, AEW, you didn't win anything. You were going up against a developmental thing. And thus, by having the champion of NXT lose to, you know, Jeff Hardy's a WWE Hall of Famer and a WWE legend, but he hasn't done jack shit in wrestling, you know, this whole year. So to have him lose to Jeff Hardy, I felt like that was a slap in the face. But maybe it wasn't a slap in the face to Karrion Kross. I think it was Vince trying to minimalize NXT, the brand. I don't know why he has to do stuff like that, because you can get that message across in different ways. I don't know why you hurt Karrion Kross. Like, when I saw Karrion Kross and I saw everything he was doing, I was like, he needs to be on this show. Like, NXT, you know, I know you like him on NXT. I don't like him on NXT. He's perfect for the main roster, 100%. Without Scarlett, I do think the character's a little less than it is with Scarlett. But still, everything he was doing in the ring against Jeff Hardy, perfect for that show. And then they do the roll up with Hardy's legs on the ropes and that stuff. So that was my theory watching the Cross thing. But then Charlotte comes out and she says that she is now an 11-time champion, and she starts naming off all of her titles. And in the back of my mind, I was like going, wait, how many NXT championships did she win?
One, right?
They eliminated whatever it was. Someone said it was 3, but whatever it was, they eliminated it from her number that she was counting. She counted a Divas championship, which is, I think she was Divas champion heading into WrestleMania 32, where they changed it. And then she counted her Raw and her SmackDown women's titles and just eliminated any version of an NXT championship.
Yeah.
And then, as you mentioned, the Keith Lee thing. Now, Keith Lee hasn't been on NXT since last summer, but he's still, you know, he had a little bit of a cup of coffee with Raw. He's been off Raw for a long time. I don't know if he's in this NXT thing, but still, I don't know. I just thought the way that they just, it wasn't even in the match. Like, you didn't watch the match, but it was in the commentary. Corey Graves is nitpicking Keith Lee like nobody's business. Oh, he's not aggressive enough. Oh, he's not athletic enough. Oh, he's wrestling too slow. X, Y, and Z. And I don't like Jimmy Smith. I think he's been actually really good as the play-by-play guy.
I think he's fantastic. I think he's doing a great job, especially with his experience level, man.
Yeah, and I was kind of like down on that because I didn't think that they were putting him in an opportunity to succeed. But what it shows is that if you're a good broadcaster, you're a good broadcaster, and that's what he is. I was waiting for him to stick up for the babyface in this match. And he was not, and neither was Byron. They were just letting Corey Graves bash Keith Lee. And I don't want to say that he was burying Keith Lee, but he was very critical of Keith Lee this entire time. Babyface announcers did not say a damn thing. And so there's got to be a message here. And that was my theory about the message, was that, you know, Vince was sort of punishing NXT for losing this created war, and maybe this is a little bit more of what it really was, which is he's trying to minimize what AEW actually, quotes, I'm really doing the air quotes hard here, accomplished.
Yeah, it's a good theory. I could probably, agree with you on that. I think Vince, there's, when the ratings have gone down for Raw specifically, I think SmackDown's been pretty decent, right? From what I've seen, I know they were up, of course, for the.
So the overall numbers, I don't remember what the demos were, but so the live SmackDown, they got to 2.3 million, which is a nice bump. Yeah. Raw didn't quite get to 2 million; they were at like 1.9. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw that
something. But yeah, they both got bumped up. But yeah, right now SmackDown is the A show.
But before that, things were down, and that's when fingers start getting pointed, right? Mm-hmm. And Bruce Pritchard's not going to point to him, right? Charlie Laurinaitis is not going to point to him.
Mm-hmm.
Vince McMahon's not going to point to himself and his writing team. They're going to put the blame on someone. So who gets it? And it's NXT. It's Triple H. It's the PC not producing talent, which they have, because we've seen it for years now. NXT and Triple H have created, or Hunter has created, like, acts that the fans love and hands it to the main roster and say, now it's yours. We got it ready for you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just done nothing with, or forgotten about, or broken up. It's been like that for a long time. It might not be Vince that's against it. It might be other people in his ears. That's like a Kevin Dunn, who
trying to cover their own ass and pointing the blame somewhere else.
And it's not NXT talent. It's not. It is your creative. Your creative is what caused during this time. Like you said it, you called them out on it, and we talked about it on our podcast before we were on the Wrestling Observer Network. They have not taken advantage during this pandemic to keep fans interested. They've gone way wacky, way crazy, and it's drove a lot of people off. And some people are like, this isn't, and that's why the ratings are going down. They weren't creating new stars or, a million rematches. Like, yada. People talked about it for it. It's their fault. But they have to put the blame. So right now, NXT's kind of, probably to them on, the bad mark of the bunch. But, eventually it'll all even out and be forgotten about, because they'll probably be on the road now and not even worry about what happens in Florida. So, I mean, I don't know. It's just one of those weird things. And with Keith Lee, it might be more frustrating to him during his comeback. And I don't know all the details. I know some of it.
Yeah.
But God, see, this is what I think as a booker myself. I would see a Keith Lee and say, okay, we have him back. Let's do something with him. Let's try to make a star out of him. Let's try to bring some fresh matches. Let's start building him up for someone. If he's going to lose, let's build him up for a few months to have him lose. Or if he catches fire, then maybe change. You got to go with it and give it a shot, man. So, I was just offended, because I would never do that. I would never do that to any talent. Even if I didn't like them personally, it doesn't matter if I like them personally. It's the fact that I can do something with them to build business with them, to build interest in the company with them. So frustrating. And it's, like Vince, this is not the Vince of the old, I don't think. I think Vince wouldn't do something like that, right?
It's Uncle Milty. That's who it is.
I just think, I don't know. I think he needs to step down, but he's not until he probably takes his last breath. And we're going to see a lot of this frustration. I thought from Money in the Bank, like, okay, they've kind of got a good direction here. A lot of stuff. Big E with the Money in the Bank. I thought that was a great idea. You know, just John Cena coming back. Roman, what they're doing. Roman's been great. Like, I thought Lashley, the booking of Lashley, like destroying Kofi, and a lot of people were frustrated. I saw on Twitter people are all mad, but God, if it's building to Big E beating Lashley for the title, that's great. You know, like.
But do you see who Big E?
I know you said Roman. Well, because Roman's the money guy, right? I mean, shit. Let's be honest. But really, the real story should be because Lashley was. I've read results. I haven't watched it, but he's been beating up Xavier Woods and Kofi, right?
Yeah.
So wouldn't you think he want a little revenge?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Here's the reason why I was frustrated with the Kofi thing. The TV, there are some really bad segments on that show. And it's very easy to be down on Monday Night Raw. Every single Alexa Bliss segment. And I think she's actually doing, like, this is not her creative call, right? She's like, they're putting her in and they're saying, hey, you got to do this, and she's doing it. And I think she's actually really good at what she's doing. It's not her fault that that it's a bad gig for her, but there are some segments that actually work, and one of them was MVP and Kofi Kingston, and they're telling this story, and Lashley is he's just really taking it out on poor Xavier Woods. And Kofi's trying to explain, you know, actually MVP originally was trying to explain to Kofi that he was there, you know, he was watching when Kofi beat Daniel Bryan, and that was really meaningful, but he's not that guy anymore. And so I'm watching this thing going like, wow, Kofi is he's actually a very strong character right now. And these Kofi interviews, these MVP segments, they were like the best things on Raw. And so I'm watching this thing going like, okay, I know Kofi's going to lose this match, but I want to see the story that they're going to tell. And then they decided to squash him, which this is my, of all the pet peeves that I have with WWE, my number one pet peeve is when they tell a story that I buy and then the match that happens shits on the story. And it's like, you shouldn't have really been that into that story anyways, based on the result. And like, I get the Lashley thing, right? But if that was the goal, I would have rather they just did that on TV. Like, you know, these pay-per-view or these, these Peacock shows, like you're supposed to get these really good matches. And what we got was a squash. And so I was just like, okay, like, could you at least either have done that on Raw or in the storytelling, like, tell me that we're not supposed to even care about Kofi here. Like, he's just the guy to, you know, just to get squashed, because then I wouldn't have got invested, and then I wouldn't have been disappointed. I can see why you liked it, because you weren't invested in that story in any way. You're like, oh, it's just a result. Like, yeah, Lashley's strong. And I get that too. I want him to be strong. He's a beast, and he's having, you know, this guy's been around. Like, I was talking to somebody, I think it was on the We're Live Pal show. I was like, man, when did Blaster Lashley come up to WWE? It was like 2005 or something.
Yeah, because
it was like 18 years ago.
He left. Well, he left in 07, right? Is that when he left?
Yeah.
Long time, but he's like one of those ageless guys. So, you know,
awesome.
Yeah, I hope they do something cool. I hope they do like Lashley versus Roman at Survivor Series for belt versus belt. That'd be kind of cool. And Roman wins that and has all the belts, and then maybe Rock does come back.
But you know what they did last year, though? They did the Survivor Series, but it was non-title.
Yeah.
And then he beat Drew, non-title.
Yeah, so maybe they should do title for title, make it something, or maybe non-title. I don't know. Either way, I like this. It'd be kind of cool to that would happen, and you know, I just want to see one champion again. I'm tired of these dual brand champions. But that's just the old school me. But that's just the wrestling fan in me. Come on, man. I don't know how these kids can even keep up, you know, with who's what and all that. So,
by the way, I think Charlotte won 2 NXT championships. I was trying to look that up while you were talking.
Was it called something else? NXT Divas champion?
I don't know if Wikipedia is correct on that. I think it was 2. But anyways, okay, so